Well, bloody hell, we've made it. Seriously, well done, everybody. It's a new decade, and somehow everything hasn't exploded yet. We can't say how long that's going to last, given how 2020 has started, but if you're worried about getting bored during those long days taking shelter in your nuclear bunker, don't be. We've got plenty of exciting new releases to look forward to this year, providing there aren't any more delays. Still waiting on that pirate adventure, Ubisoft? Now, condensing the next 12 months of awesome titles into just 10 entries is almost impossible, as during our next spin around the sun, we're expecting sequels to cult classics such as Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, Beyond Good and Evil, Psychonauts, and Crusader Kings, not to mention intriguing new IPs like Ghost of Tsushima, Humankind, Gods and Monsters, and the small matter of an actual new Half-Life game. Yes! It's finally happening, sort of. With all the honourable mentions out of the way, what about the real heavyweights that'll kick off the 20s with a bang? Let's look at some. I'm Ben from TripleJump, and here are 10 amazing video games to look forward to in 2020. Number 10. E3 2020 announcements. Yeah, you heard it right, it's a wild card already, sorry Peter. To hell with the integrity of list video structure, we start as we mean to carry on. Besides, it's impossible to ignore the year's most pivotal gaming event, even if it might have waned a bit in recent years. A cheap plug for the video we made exploring that very topic. Go watch it, please go watch it. Wild speculation on loose rumours aside, there are a few safe bets for what we might see at 2020's E3. Elden Ring, From Software's latest Soulsborne Sekiro Soulsborne successor, is one title confirmed to be in the works after last year's cryptic E3 trailer. Details are scarce, save from the fact that notorious throne fetishist George R.R.R.R. Martin himself is involved with the story, but a couple of leaks have hinted at a June 2020 release, which we're very excited for. Nintendo confirmed their Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel last year, and we wouldn't rule out a surprise 2020 launch, as it has been 3 years since the last title redefined the franchise in 2017. We also wouldn't say no to any details about Metroid Prime 4, Nintendo. Just saying, stop being so coy. On a slightly wilder note, there have been numerous whispers and leaks about the next Assassin's Creed being a Viking-flavoured adventure, maybe inspired by a certain Spartan of War, although his next adventure is probably a good couple of years away. Number 9. Resident Evil 3 Remake. Honestly, we're still reeling after that cheeky little bait and switch from Sony's State of Play announcement in December. What was set up as Project Resistance, an intriguing asymmetrical multiplayer shooter in the Resi universe, soon gave way to what the fans were truly craving and what leaked the week before. A reveal for Resident Evil 3, remade in the same engine as last year's stunning Resi 2 remake. Mind you, it's terrible news if, like many of us, you're still struggling to sleep properly after the nightmare fuel of Mr. X, because frankly, he's a pathetic joke in comparison to the third game's big bad nemesis. The titular tyrant was relentless back in the 1999 original, and from what we've seen so far, he's only gotten more terrifying 21 years on. Just look at that blatant disregard for building regulations. Horrifying scenes. This revamped Raccoon City looks about as incredible as a burning, undead-filled metropolis can look, and even the master of unlocking, Jill Valentine's got a brand new style. Well, 2, if you count Zombie Jill. The Resident Evil 3 remake is due to smash through our boarded windows on the 3rd of April 2020 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and will also include the multiplayer resistance mode for good measure. Number 8. Doom Eternal. So we may have included this in last year's list of upcoming games for 2019, but Doom Eternal can't be delayed for 2 years running. Right, Bethesda? Doom's 2016 reboot was a masterclass in how to bring a beloved franchise into the modern generation without sacrificing what made it so damn good. The same high-octane, heavy metal, demon-slaughtering bloodbath has been turned up to 11 in Doom Eternal, and then turned up again to about 25, and then dismembered and force-fed its own limbs because Doom. With the core formula now established, this next installment has focused on adding more toys and features to make you a certified bad arse, such as grappling hooks, battle axes, and something called flamethrower belches, which sounds fun. This enhanced mobility makes the action flow with even more visceral beauty, and you could still easily become demon food if you're not careful. You could also become a demon that feeds on other careless Doom guys or gals with the new 1v2 multiplayer battle mode, which might just scratch that pesky Left 4 Dead itch. Doom Eternal is locked and loaded for a 20th of March release, so make sure to renew your keycards for then. Number 7. Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers didn't quite wow the world with its initial reveal last year, but many of us have slowly been won over by these slightly off-brand versions of our beloved big screen heroes. Currently set for the 4th of September, these Avengers are set to experience a separate story from the heavily saturated Marvel Cinematic Universe, but given developer Crystal Dynamics' pedigree with the recent Tomb Raider series, we think they're in safe hands. Each main hero has unique powers that mix up the third-person action, which will hopefully differentiate between a Hulk smash and a Thor hammer bash. An RPG Lite upgrade system should add even more customization to playstyles, and along with the developers' commitment to ongoing multiplayer and single-player content, might just add some longevity to all that bad guy thumping. There are a few warning signs though. Creating what's essentially another live service game feels a little tone-deaf after the recent flops of Anthem and Fallout 76, and we'll trust this promise of no microtransactions about as far as we can throw Mjolnir, but we will remain cautiously optimistic that the time of heroes isn't over quite yet. Number 6. Halo Infinite. It's hard to believe the next installment in the hallmark Halo franchise is coming this year, but the prolific grunt-smacking chief will indeed be returning in winter 2020 with the launch of Microsoft's next-gen offering, the Xbox Series X, or is it just the Xbox? If Microsoft would deign to clarify, that would be very much appreciated. And just look at it! No, not the blocky console itself. We're talking about Halo Infinite's breathtaking landscapes, incredible lighting, and look, the Chief's even got his classic armor back, now rendered in glorious 4K Technicolor. Developers 343 Industries have apparently spent years building this new engine, but this is more than just a tech demo. Microsoft are looking to their iconic flagship series to make an immediate impact in the next generation, notable not just in the jaw-dropping visuals, but the finer details too. Split-screen multiplayer will return after inexplicably being cut from Halo 5, but they'll be keeping the drop-in co-op features and the popular Forge level editor too. Unconfirmed rumours have even hinted at more RPG elements and a story that adapts to your decisions, but whatever happens, these refinements to the classic formula can hopefully bring a return to form for Master Chief, and maybe a happy reunion with Cortana? Please, maybe? Number 5. Animal Crossing New Horizons. In a year that looks surprisingly light on heavyweight Nintendo franchises, Animal Crossing might just be the dark horse that steals the show. And frankly, we're quite excited that the delightfully chill life sim could get the limelight it so richly deserves. There's a comfortable familiarity in what to expect from the 3rd of March release of Animal Crossing New Horizons. More knickknacks for your house, more chit-chat with the local anthropomorphic animals, more arguments with ruthless property magnate Tom Nook, who's now branched out into holiday packages, which explains how you ended up on this deserted island with only a tent to start off with. Damn it, Nook! This is how you end up on holidays from hell, you know. In fairness, these humble beginnings fit the island vibes nicely, with new items to craft, more freedom for placement and decoration, including outside furniture, and most importantly, extreme pole vaulting! Rad. It'll also include enhanced multiplayer options, with 4 players able to grab a Joy-Con to join a local game, and up to 8 players can hop into a world online, so you won't have to rely on befriending a volleyball for company, which is nice. Number 4. Watchdogs Legion. A dystopian post-Brexit London plagued with overbearing surveillance and rampant civil unrest. Where do they get their ideas? Imagine living in a world like that. Oh god, we're all fucked. Ubisoft will be hoping 3rd time's the charm for their techie hackathon franchise. The debut under-delivered on many of its promises, ending up devoid of any real soul, much like its beige protagonist and his iconic cap. And it was followed up with a vastly improved sequel that, sadly, it seems nobody really played. And yet, we're still expecting big things from Watchdogs Legion, which will shake up the formula by letting us play as literally anyone. Maybe even me. Probably not, I'll be inside. Respectable city lawyers, rowdy pub punters, deadly OAPs. It's a bold move from Ubisoft, but being able to recruit any NPC into DedSec, each with their own traits and upgrades, could make every person's playthrough a unique experience. A permadeath system should add yet another layer of organic drama, and with another 5 main story threads spread over 60 missions, we're optimistic that the narrative won't be bottlenecked by this sim-like approach. At the very least, we might need a cathartic outlet from real-world events in the form of silly Cockney accents that feel like we're starring in a Guy Ritchie film. Number 3. The Last of Us Part 2. Dogs. Yes, you heard us correctly. From Watchdogs to Naughty Dogs, we have a strong feeling that the sequel to the emotionally charged masterclass of the original The Last of Us has a secret weapon, and it's all about those pooches. Hear us out. Hear us out. For all the important narrative details shown in the previews, Ellie's back, older and wiser, as is a gruffer-looking Joel, what really summed up the ethos of their savage world was this tense gameplay sequence set in an overgrown village in Wyoming showing Ellie evading a rogue militia and their 4-legged friends. These attack dogs will sniff out your scent with ease, meaning there's nowhere to hide. You can either run away in a panic, or worse, fight back with the brutal new combat. And if you do kill a dog in self-defense, it's not just your own internal monologue screaming, "What's wrong with you, you monster?" but their owner also despairs, calling out to their friends and allies by name, because these aren't faceless NPCs, but real characters with real relationships. And that incredible character development, that constant feeling of unease, that emotional weight to every action, not just in the story, but in moment-to-moment gameplay, that is what The Last of Us Part 2 could deliver when it launches on the 29th of May. And we can't wait to do our utmost to avoid killing those pooches at any cost. Naughty Dog indeed. Number 2. Final Fantasy VII Remake. On paper, a remake of a game that released over 20 years ago doesn't exactly sound like most anticipated game material, until you see the name Final Fantasy VII, and then you realise this is no mere graphical enhancement, but a remake from the ground up of one of the most beloved games of all time. Or at least the first bit of it. This is essentially a glitzy new release mixed with pure, uncut nostalgia, and while the major characters and plot will be the same, everything else has been overhauled massively. The combat alone is a far cry from your 90s turn-based menus, replaced with real-time attacks and combined with an active time battle meter that allows you to slow the pace down to a crawl to use abilities, magic, or items, although Square Enix have included a classic mode similar to the old turn-based approach if you'd preferred that. Everything from the characters to the city of Midgar itself looks simply incredible. Just get a load of that big old sword for starters, it's even got the materia slots and everything! Part 1 of this monster reimagining will launch on the 10th of April. It's just a shame we'll have to wait an agonising amount of time for Part 2. Number 1. Cyberpunk 2077.
Wake the up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
If you've not already set that as your daily morning alarm, then what the word redundant are you doing, samurai? Cyberpunk 2077 has stirred up so much fuss already, it's impossible to think of 2020 as anything other than the year of Cyberpunk. And Keanu. Which is rather fitting given the original tabletop source material was set in this same year of Cyberpunk and our Lord and Saviour Keanu. Chances are you'll know exactly what makes Cyberpunk such an enticing prospect. CD Projekt Red, fresh off the back of incredible success with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, are crafting a new open-world adventure set in the neon-drenched near future of Night City. It's less swords and sorcery and more cybernetic shooty stabs, but the extensive, ambitious RPG systems from previous ventures are still very much alive. A wealth of upgrades, abilities, and approaches to level design could elevate Cyberpunk's core first-person shooter mechanics into something much richer. Most of the weapons will even feature non-lethal options, and a pacifist run is apparently possible, but given the typical clientele of Night City, you'll probably reconsider that approach quickly. The rational part of our brain is slightly cautious about how this long-awaited title will meet the incredibly high expectations it's set for itself. But then, we listen to our inner Johnny Silverhand and we believe everything's going to be just fine.
You're breathtaking!
Oh, thank you. I needed that today. And that's just a taste of what 2020 has to offer, but there are countless other titles that could swoop in out of nowhere to storm this new decade. What are you most excited to see? What are the odds of a shock release of Untitled Walrus game? Let us know in the comments below. You can follow myself and TripleJump on Twitter here, and while you're at it, why not support the things you enjoy by having a look at our Patreon. Finally, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I'm Ben from TripleJump, and thanks for watching.